before. Everybody who we try to get on here works in media. That's what we do, right? So a lot of people who work in media have been drastically affected by everything that's going on. So a bit of more of a personal question for you. Just tell the audience, how have you been personally affected? What have you been doing the last couple of months? How have you been handling your job situation, et cetera, et cetera?
So as Nick mentioned in the beginning, I did take a backseat to journalism because I moved to athletic communications at the College of Mount St. Vincent, where I'm basically, I do everything with the athletic department. I'm their stats guy, PA announcing, public relations. It's a full-time job. I'm there all the time. And, fortunately, the college saw the athletic department as an extension of the admissions department. And in turn, besides the fact that I do have a dual role there as well as public relations, the promotional side and getting people involved with athletics on social media and through the website, they saw as a critical position that needed to stay intact. So, we stopped going to campus back in March, and I was home ever since. And fortunately, I was employed the whole time. So that was great. Everything worked out on that front. And actually, the week after 4th of July, we were back on campus. We're at 50% capacity, but I was one of the people that was asked to get back. So I've been there ever since, staying busy. Right now, the school does have plans for sports in the fall. I don't know how that's going to go because right now we have, out of 12 conference teams, there's 4 left that want to play, including us. So I don't know exactly how it's going to work, but as a school, they're really pushing forward that they want kids back. They want kids in the classroom. They want sports happening. So as a whole, I've been very fortunate during this time. I know a lot of people who are in the same situation, and I really felt their pain. But personally speaking, no complaints here. And, I just kind of, made myself an office at home, stayed busy. I would go to campus. I offered to do a bunch of video tours and things like that to kind of get things moving online. So I was able to stay busy and really, just not think as much about what was going on around the world because I was able to, be immersed in my job. So I was really thankful for that.
Yeah, and hopefully a lot of these schools can play in the fall. I do some broadcasting for the College of Staten Island. Their fall season's already been wiped out. So we'll be monitoring this. It's interesting to see, what really happens with the big schools and conferences first, and then we'll really see a trickle-down effect. Of course, you saw like the Ivy League. They're moving to the spring, which I think I could see a lot of schools still dealing with time to go. But we do want those college sports back. We also want pro sports back, and one of the pro sports we're probably going to get back. Joe, you smell that? Do you smell what The Rock's cooking? The Rock, he bought the XFL. The XFL's coming back, Joe. How excited are you?
I'm very excited. I think Vince McMahon is probably excited too because now everything that happened with the XFL, it's staying in-house. His guy, do you think Vince The Rock or Dwayne? They're probably on that personal basis, right, where he's calling him Dwayne?
I think he calls him The Rock because I don't think he called him Dwayne for the first 20 years he knew him.
Yeah, I'm curious to see. I really hope we find out at some point if Vince made the call or has gotten in touch with him over
right, because it was supposed to go up. It was supposed to go up for an open auction, but a little before The Rock stepped in.
I know. So the purchase price for the company was $15 million for everybody listening. And he bought it, believe it or not. His partner, Danny Garcia, is his ex-wife.
Yep.
She is now the first female in, I guess, history, right, all time. This is the first to be a partner or owner of a major professional sports league in this country. So applause there. That's pretty significant.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm interested to know who is going to, if anyone's going to return, if the teams are going to be the same. Because it was an exciting season. Dan, did you watch any of this XFL 2020 season?
Yeah, I was watching it every single week. I was a big fan of the presentation style and just, we all know nothing can compare to the NFL. Same with the I forgot the name of it. What was it? AAF, was it? I don't know. That other league that was going on. Yeah, we know it's not the same competition, but I saw it as something where I'm hanging out with my friends, drinking beer, watching TV, have it on in the background, something cool. It was just something to put on. I truly enjoyed it in that regard. So, I think it's great that it's coming back. I love that The Rock is involved and he's the owner. Like you said, Joe, with his ex-wife and the first female owner, that's amazing as well. 2 first-time ever minority owners of a sports league, which is also great. So I'm really excited. I'm glad it's back, and I'm happy to see what's next for the league.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see what the NFL ends up stealing from the XFL, because the first XFL in 2001 was where the NBC ended up getting the overhead cam from. They stole that from the XFL because obviously XFL is on NBC. I wouldn't be surprised if in the future we're seeing in the replay room camera, the person explaining it. And I think Joe, they'll probably at some point take that kickoff rule to get a little more excitement back in the game.
Yeah. So during the brief run that this second iteration of the XFL had, one of the most popular things or tweaks that they had to the rule was the kickoff, and everybody was a big fan of that. And I believe going forward, it's going to be adopted for the NFL, not because the fans enjoy it more. I think the actual format of it is probably a lot safer than what we usually see in the NFL. Now, granted, the NFL has done their part to try to alter the kickoff, right? So we've had the kickoff move from 30 to 35-yard line over the course of the last couple of years. That's drastically changed the amount of kickoff returns we usually see. We've seen a lot more touchbacks, and then the plays that are coming out are few and far between, less injuries. But also with that, less kickoff return touchdowns. That's something that we always used to love to see, right? So Devin Hester, those guys don't really have a role in the NFL anymore. One-dimensional gadget guys and guys you throw out on special teams. The Jets used to have a guy, Justin Miller, same type of player, same type of role, right? But, yeah, so the kickoff, I think, is definitely going to be the one big takeaway that you see the NFL steal from the XFL.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised there. And Joe, obviously, the big issue that we saw after the final bankruptcy was that Oliver Luck was suing to get the rest of his contract. Do you think he will be back as the commissioner, or do you think they'll be looking elsewhere?
I'm very curious about that, because I think Oliver wanted this to work, and I also there's a scenario in play where if Oliver is brought back in, you might see Andrew brought in too.
As a quarterback?
Obviously, he's not doing anything. I don't think he's going back to the NFL. I think he's really, really done. I think if he would have had the itch to come back, he would have came back as the season went on. I think he's done.
I think Andrew Luck's going to return as a Patriot quarterback at some point.
We'll see. Dan, how do you feel about the Oliver Luck, Vince McMahon situation? Because we all know that, and it got to the point where it was borderline ugly at the very end. Oliver suing Vince and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a situation where I don't know. I know Nick's wrestling fan. I don't know Joe, but we know Vince McMahon has done some shady tactics, and I'm not talking about Mr. McMahon on TV. Behind the scenes, he's that guy. I mean, he's got the top for a reason, and it's not doing everything, with the grain, so to speak. So, it seemed like Oliver Luck, unfortunately, was a fall guy. I thought he was great in his job, brought a lot of personality to it. Again, that Andrew Luck connection, you never know when somebody could get the itch and, put in the favor with dad to get in the game. So it was pretty sad to see that that's the way everything kind of unfolded, and that before this Rock news, that was kind of like the lasting image right before it shut down due to COVID. So I thought it was kind of disappointing on that end.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, especially if they're going to keep the same rules, because it could be a totally different thing. Rock might have his own ideas. He might bring in one of his buddies from the U to run the show. We'll see how hands-on The Rock is. I wanted The Miz to be on color commentary for this season, but I think now we are going to maybe see The Rock on color commentary. Wouldn't that be awesome, Joe?
That's very, very possible. I was thinking about this yesterday, right? So we know that The Rock does TV now. He's obviously got a hit show with the Titan games on NBC on Mondays. But before that, he was dabbling in Ballers, which was on HBO. Now,
great show.
In that show, it is a great show. He was an agent, right? So maybe not entirely the same situation, but we see that The Rock was immersed in like the world of football there, and his objective was to work his way from being a former player to an agent to possibly owning a team, owning a league. Now he actually owns a league, right? Like that's the craziest thing ever. So in this scenario, it's actually art.
Ballers was crazy because every year the team they focused on ended up doing so well. So they sign with the Patriots and then they go to the Super Bowl. Then they do the Rams, they're at the Super Bowl. And then they talk about a Patrick Mahomes extension and he gets his extension. So I don't know, maybe The Rock is like Nostradamus, Dan, but you know, overall I think The Rock is going to be good news for the league. And that was the big wrestling news this week until we heard that the Bella twins, Dan, gave birth on back-to-back days. I don't think there'd be any other way than that. What are your thoughts on the Bella twins, and how do you think John Cena feels about what happened?
Yeah, I don't know about John Cena, but, you know, like you said, of course they had babies on the same, like, what was it, the same day, right? Or was it day apart?
One day apart, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, of course that was going to happen, but it's just, God bless them. I'm happy that they're, you know, that now Daniel Bryan has a second kid in his family. Nikki, obviously, her first child. So congratulations to them. Hope for nothing but happiness. But I don't know if John Cena is too upset about this right now. I think he's doing just fine.
Yeah, the 2020 Hall of Famers, Nikki and Brie Bella, give birth back-to-back days. And the initial thought was, Joe, that maybe they do the Hall of Fame inductions at SummerSlam, but that's not going to happen. So it's going to be an Olympic scenario where it'll just be the next year. And it'll be a really large class. So it's going to be probably like an 8-hour Hall of Fame induction ceremony next year at WrestleMania. But SummerSlam, Joe, might be headed to a boat or a beach. That'd be pretty cool because I'm sick of watching things at the Performance Center.
Yeah, I think over the course of the last 4 months or so, they've done whatever within their realm of trying to make the Performance Center work. I think they've done a solid job. The problem is, obviously, the product is just not the same without fans. I know that, you know that, Dan knows that. So what I do think about the boat idea is it's interesting and it's intriguing. Now, I'm the UFC guy here between Nick and I, and Dana White really, really pushes for the Fight Island thing, right? And they were in Abu Dhabi, and that was a huge, huge financial success. And it was really, really fresh. A lot of people really liked the way that was put together, given everything that was happening in the world, right? So to me, the idea of doing SummerSlam on a beach or a boat that has a different setting to it is very, very intriguing. Obviously goes along with the summer theme. The problem is wrestling fans online are going to complain, and they're going to compare it to the Chris Jericho cruise. They're already doing it now, right? So obviously within the context of pro wrestling, it's already been done, and it's actually been done really, really recently, right? So it doesn't really feel as fresh. So Dan, I'm going to bring you back into the fold here. So I don't know if you watched AEW, right? But obviously you've probably heard of Chris Jericho. He did AEW ran a show on a cruise, and Jericho had the fans on the cruise.
Hold on. You two got to stop insulting each other. You're both very large wrestling fans. You both know what's going on. So just,
not I definitely big AEW fan. I'm still more NXT than AEW, but I watch pretty much every week. I try, and if I miss something, I'm always staying on top of it. Know the Jericho cruise as well, but I totally get your point though, Joe. I mean, you know how wrestling fans are, especially online. They're here to complain about everything. It sucks, honestly, because I always try to see the best side of it. I know it's kind of hard sometimes, but I always try to stay positive while watching wrestling. I really try and take it as like, you know, something that takes my mind off of things. It's just something that I've always enjoyed from when I was a kid till now. But, you know, in terms of this potential boat or cruise or whatever's going on, we know that fans, especially the internet fans who are the vocal, could be minority, I don't know, but they're definitely the most vocal. They're going to have an issue with it. And at this point, we know, like we were saying before about Vince, you know, he hasn't gotten to where he is now by being a great guy, but he's a great businessman. So he won't let something like internet wrestling fans get in the way of something he wants to do, whether it's been done or not. So I think if he wants to have something on a cruise, it's going to get done on a cruise. That's for sure.
Do it on the Staten Island Ferry. I don't know. But, Joe,
The Staten Island Ferry didn't run today.